We are live from the Empowered Moms Studios, and today's topic is reverence. So, earlier today, before I jumped on my call, I was reading from an amazing book in the birth space. It's called Natural Hospital Birth. And then I talked to the author. And, if you had told me, like, even 5 years ago, that I would be just casually getting into the DMs with authors and mentors and influences that I have admired and just jamming out, I would have said, "You are crazy," because there's no way that anybody would want to talk to me. If you had told me 5 years ago that I would be in connection with some incredible people in the personal development space and in the business world and in like just high level, high achieving, highly successful people, I again probably would have said, "You are crazy. There is no way that anybody of that level would even deign to talk to me, let alone become my dear friends." If you had talked to me 5 years ago and said, "You are going to be a powerful influence, you are going to get on to the camera and you are going to get on and speak your messages, and you're going to have all of the confidence in doing it," I again probably would have told you you were absolutely crazy. I mean, maybe I would have had a book because that's what I was working towards and that's what had always been my dream. But the reason I wanted a book and not to speak was because I was terrified of public speaking. I was terrified of the thought of being visible. I mean, when you have a book, you can hide. You can hide behind a picture on the back of the cover. You can just write and it's just behind the scenes. I was very good at behind the scenes. I was very good at conveying emotion and evoking feelings in people and inspiring them with my pen and paper and later behind the computer screen. And I did it and I loved it. And at the same time, when I became a birth advocate, I was still working behind the scenes. Even in the first few days after I joined my community and I was recognizing that I could contribute something, it was more because everybody else around me was taking action and because I was just inspired by the person who had said that when you take action and actually align with your vision and write it down and share it with others, that that is in itself going to be a valuable contribution. And I wanted to be a valuable contribution to his community because there was just something about that energy. And I just knew that if I could just get noticed a little bit, I could learn more about what that magic was. I didn't see it in myself. I didn't recognize that the magic was always there. And the key to being able to take action and to be able to align with my dreams and my vision was to have complete reverence for it. True love requires reverence for your partner. And I had recognized in my own relationships that the people that chased after me and wanted me did not have reverence for me. They did not admire me and also have that deep, loving respect for me. And in looking back, I also didn't really have true reverence for them. I had a sense of like longing and needing to have somebody to love me. I wanted to be loving to somebody else. But the reverence, the awe, the inspiration, the thought of, I just want to be with this person just because I want to be with them. And it's them was not there because it wasn't true love. I am in awe and reverence of my children. And that in itself allows me to be a powerful mother. Because while most people think that I'm just supposed to make my children mind and I'm supposed to get my children to a certain level of competence, I have reverence for the little people that they're going to turn into. Like they're going to be bigger when they grow up, not just physically, but in their energy. I mean, sometimes I need to guide them a little bit. I mean, my daughter has a very strong personality, as does my son. However, when they are speaking of their passions and what they are thinking about and their insights, I have reverence for my children and the respect that they are on their own journey, they're on their own path. And when I talk about my business, the reason I know that it shall be so is because I have reverence for that dream and that vision. When I was talking with the author of the book that I just mentioned, Natural Hospital Birth, and she was like, I'm not really focused on the sales. I'm like, I'm not really either. Yeah, it would be nice to get sales on my book. However, at the same time, the reverence for my book does not come from the thought that I could make money with this. The thought of my book out there in the hands of mothers, if they even picked it up from the library or somebody lent them a copy, the reverence that I have for this dream is the fact that they're reading this and they're getting the insights and they're getting the knowledge. Same with my YouTube channel. The reason I put out everything basically for free and scatter it is because I want those people that are truly going to have reverence for the information that I give. Because in order for me to put my energy out there at a deeper level, I need that reverence. I need to know that when they were making the decision to work with me, out of every single other birthing coach out there or anybody who is an author, it's like I picked your book and I decided to follow you because what you say speaks to me at a deep soul level. And I know that I'm home in your community. That's what I want. Because that is the same feeling that I had when I found my people. And I had that reverence. The connections that I have built, both inside the birth community and outside the birth community, I have reverence for those connections. And when you have that reverence, you can do the hard thing of reaching out in the first place. You can do the hard thing of building that relationship, even if it's slow moving. Whereas other people might give up, you have the reverence. You're not doing it from a place of what you can get from them, but what you can give. And then it becomes an energetic exchange. And then you see, do they have reverence for you? Do they appreciate the small efforts that you are making? I mean, some of the people I'm in connection with, they've told me, I feel bad sometimes like because I can't get to your message and like I'm not ignoring you. It's just I'm really busy. And I'm like, I'm just sending this to you because I love you and I appreciate you and I want you to remember your magic. Because the higher up you get, it's lonely at the top. It really is. It's lonely. It's lonely because you're standing in your authenticity and your truth is not everybody else's truth. And the pool of people that are going to resonate at that deepest level of connection, it's going to get smaller and smaller because they're dealing with their own shadows and their own insecurities. You're going to lose family members along the way who just aren't going to be able to meet you at that level. You're going to lose friends. Business transactions may change over time. Your partnerships might change. Your connections might change. Your passions might even change. You're going to become a whole new person. Who you are today is not who you're going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And someone needs to have reverence for you as you are going on your path. And it needs to be aligned. And you need to have reverence for them on their path, wherever they're at. And you need to recognize that your most brilliant, audacious dreams and visions, you have to hold that sacred. You can then share it with others, but if the others don't have reverence for your dream, they can't help you achieve it. That's why I talk about the right support, because what I've noticed is that the partner is the wild card. In birth or in a business or in parenting, your partner is your wild card. If they do not have reverence for you and reverence for your vision, they can't support you as you need. And the most important thing is that even if they don't recognize the vision yet, if they have reverence for you, that vision will become important to them. And they will want you to achieve it. And they will set aside their own fears and their own limiting beliefs about it, their own doubts, and stand for your vision because of how much you mean to them. And the same thing with your friends. Your friends may not be able to see your vision completely. They may have fears, they may have doubts, they may have limiting beliefs. However, if they have reverence for you, then they're going to stand for you and they're going to find ways to support you, even when they can't fully see it. So, I mean, when people tell me their vision, I don't always know where each piece is going to line up. I might have an idea, but if they're in close connection with me, I'm going to have reverence for that. And I'm going to see things bigger for them. And I'm going to say, it's like, hey, your impact is important. I'm not even looking at outward success for you. I mean, I want that for you too. And at the same time, I just want people to know you. I want people to be able to have that information that you are providing. Get your message out there. Why do you think I push my friends so hard to just get on camera and speak, or to write something, or to share what they've created? Well, first of all, it would allow them to get the message out to more people. And second of all, they can repurpose that so that they don't have to keep depleting their energy in one direction. They can be like, okay, this is what I was working on in the past. It still has importance for other people. And this is the new thing that I'm working on that I have passion and reverence for. My dream has evolved. I have evolved. I have transformed. I'm at a higher level than I was back then. However, I'm not going to make what I did back then wrong, because somebody else is going to see that and they're going to have that as a treasure, even if it's old. So, I mean, I have my old classes and I'm not polished and I'm not the powerful teacher that I am today. I didn't always word things exactly the way that they needed to be. There was some structural things that I would probably change today if I was to run those classes again. And at the same time, I go back and I look at those old videos with me with my flat hair in a with a terrible background because at the time that I was running those classes, I was also basically in transition of getting out of living in one place and moving to another. I was working towards leaving my partner. And I mean, things were a mess. Things were so chaotic when I first ran those classes. And then things were still a little chaotic as I was healing and I was taking my classes, like just for business and virtual coach. Like when I was taking those classes and learning coaching, and I was also trying to help my children and get them settled. And I was healing from this relationship and I was building my dreams bit by bit by bit. But those classes, I bet if I clipped bits and pieces, even though I'm not polished, I'm sure the message would still land. And I might do that. I might even put it on my YouTube. I don't know yet. I mean, things change, things evolve, and I still have reverence for all of it. This year, things didn't turn out exactly how I wanted to when I wanted them to. I had a picture of when things could have come in timelines, and I was excited the whole time. I mean, if you go back and watch some of my other videos on Carly Uncensored, you'll probably see what I was really working towards and what I wanted. And at the same time, oh, things have unfolded so beautifully, even as I'm waiting. And I have such reverence for this vision, this dream, when I finally get what I've been waiting for, when it finally happens, that it's just going to be that energy. And it won't be disbelief. It will be complete reverence. It's like, yes, we made it. It's here. Yes, I finally have everything I wanted within the business. And now I've got another level to go, more impact. Yes, that client had an amazing birth, and I got to be a part of that. And I'm never going to experience that exact birth ever again, but that was incredible. Yes, my true love is here. Yes, we made it. It was hard, and we made it. Yes, I've got those friends now, the ones that I once thought would never talk to me. And it turns out that they were waiting for me too. And yes, I have those connections and I have this beautiful life and I get to walk on the beach every morning when I wake up and like I just get to go out and do that because I now have my home on the beach. And yes, I have my amazing office that kind of resembles a Beauty and the Beast library, but it's got artwork on the walls and it's got the overlooking of the ocean with the balcony. And I've got it. And because I've been dreaming of it for so long, and because I can picture myself there, I have such reverence for that that I will never take it for granted. Because when you build up to that, when you really build up to it, and it's from a place of that true heart and soul desire, and it's from that grounded and congruent place, as my friend and mentor Annie Lala says, it can't help but come to pass. And the timeline that you thought it might happen at might not be it, might need a little bit more. However, when it finally comes in, you treat that more valuable than gold. And you wake up every morning and you are grateful to be able to experience it. And even when it's hard, especially in relationships or friendships, or your children. Even when it's hard, you still have reverence for those moments. It's like, yeah, right now my kids are driving me absolutely bonkers. My son is being very disrespectful and he's 11 and he's doing the whole 11-year-old thing that 11-year-olds do. And it's driving me up the wall. At the same time, that beautiful boy who told me, "Shut up, mom," last night and was being 11 this morning as he's heading off to school, to middle school at that, sixth grade. My gosh, that kid's in sixth grade. I still think of him as that little tiny baby that I brought home and I looked into his eyes and I sang "Sweet Child of Mine" to him and stroked his hair. And I sang all the lullabies to him, even though now at 11, he would prefer me not to sing. And he says, "Mom, stop singing." And I'm like, no, no, I can't stop singing, child. Singing lights me up. It's the first instrument before humans were able to craft anything, singing, and it lights up my soul. So no, I'm not going to stop. But I mean, that beautiful boy who's also rude to me can come up to me and say, "Mom, I'm heading off to school." And I'm like, "Okay, would you like a hug?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm coming for a hug." And that big boy who is now taller than me, I wrap my arms around him and I hold him and I hug him. And it's only for a few moments, but it's like my son. I get to hug my son and I get to send him off to school. And at the end of the day, he'll probably be crabby when he comes home because, I mean, he's had to hold it together all day and he's an introvert. And being around people who, the first thing he said when he came back from middle school was, "There's so many people." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I know, kid. I know you were used to being in a small elementary school and now you're in this huge school with all these kids and you're not used to it. I get it. Believe me, I get it. It's an introvert nightmare. I know." And at the same time, you're home now. And if you want peace and quiet, you can go over to granddad's because my dad had even said, "Is like, yeah, he can just come over. Even if I'm not home, he knows how to get in." I'm like, "Yep, okay." So my son, sometimes he'll just text me now and he's like, "I'm going over to granddad's. I'm just gonna chill because it's quieter and there's nobody around to bug me." I'm like, "Okay." And I have reverence for where he's at in his journey. My daughter, I have reverence for the fact that she has her own style. She has her own way of doing things, and it's different from mine. My clients, the same thing. I have reverence for their journeys, what they need to experience. And I have reverence for my true love, wherever he is right now. As far as I'm concerned, in the long distance, low commitment. Uh, how does that go? The Barbie thing? Um, but basically, yeah. And when he's able to come back, I'll be singing, "My boyfriend's back and you're gonna be in trouble." Um, because I mean, people have been trying to chase me, and all the boys try to chase me, but here's my number, so call me maybe. And I mean, he knows. He knows. I'm sure that like there is a deep part of him that knows just how much reverence I hold for him and whatever he's doing. And when he's ready, I can't wait to find out what adventures he's been on. After all, I've I've always loved hearing what he's been up to. And it has been hard. It has been hard being away from him physically. But in my heart, he's always here. And, it's when you have that reverence for everything, the dreams, the visions, nobody can take that away from you. And you can enroll others into that vision too of what you want to create. And I mean, I train my clients to do this with their birth plans. The first step is have reverence for their own birth plan. They need to create their ultimate vision of which they are most inspired by and forget about what could might possibly maybe happen. Forget about the contingency plans. First, what is it that you would ultimately want? Okay, now that you have that, and sometimes they have to get out of their fear first before they can see that vision, then they've got that vision. And it is so beautiful that if it would come to pass, or even a fraction of it would come to pass, that would be enough. Shoot for the stars and you'll at least hit the top of the trees. So we aim very, very high. And then we have our safety net and our backup plans and everything, but we don't focus on them because we're aiming for that true vision. Next step, they've got to get their partner on board. Their partner needs to be able to see that vision just enough that they're going to be like, yeah, this is amazing. I may not be able to see all the pieces, but the pieces I can see, they are incredible. And I want to help you achieve that. And then they do because they're standing for it too. And then the best one is when you can get your care provider on board, the facilitator, the mentor, the expert who may have seen everything under the sun go wrong and seen so many people having that vision, but they don't achieve it. And they might have that skepticism. And you need to enroll them too into that vision. And I mean, Cynthia talked about that in this book. And I told her, like, one of the things when we got on the call, I'm sitting there like, oh my gosh, I just got to the point where you were talking about having reverence and showing that to your care provider. And it was just like, this is amazing. Like, that was one of the things I told her. And I mean, we're going to be doing an interview and it'll be on my YouTube channel, not my uncensored one, but my business channel. So, anybody in the birth sphere who is curious, I'm going to be doing interviews. I think I'm going to do a lot more interviews and I'm going to put those on certain days because now that I've gotten my book out there, now that I have my program, now that I have my magic scattered, and now that I soapbox on Instagram all of the time, and I've gotten very confident at speaking, wisdom comes from multiple perspectives. And I want to connect the village in my own way. I mean, there's a podcast, speaking of the village, and it's incredible. The first episode, I just was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And at the same time, I have my own way of interviewing. And I love to interview people. I love to dive deep into the stories and I love to get beyond the surface. And it just lights me up. So, in addition to everything else that I'm working on, I've decided to do more interviews. And if you happen to be someone who maybe the moms in my community for birth might like to hear from in holistic nutrition or mindset, or I mean, there's so many angles we can come in with. I mean, birth is a metaphor for life. There's something there. Well, I told you in the last video that the onus is on you to reach out because I get down rabbit holes. And I mean, even my true love knows this because when I was sending him messages, I mean, there were some days where I'd send a lot, and other times I'd be like, I'm sleepy today. I think I'm gonna rest, or I'm really working on something. It's amazing. And I'll talk to you about it later, but like I've got my whole day booked and I'm doing this. So yeah, just so he would know that I hadn't given up. I wasn't mad at him. And that, I mean, if he was able, he could reach out. And if he still wasn't ready, that was okay. I was still going to love him. And I also had my own things to do. And they were amazing. They were incredible. I was having so much fun, even last year, before I knew everything. And that's the key. You got to have reverence for everything you're doing. Otherwise, why are you doing it? If you're just doing it to go through the motions or achieve a goal because you think that that's something you need to check off a list, that's not true reverence. So, I mean, every single day I wake up and I'm like, what do I want to do? What do I have on my agenda that I have reverence for that I've made a priority? What other possibilities could come in that I can kind of be flexible with, be surprised by, be delighted by? And what do I want to do just for me? Just because I can. Some little squirt of delight. So that by the end of the day, no matter what happened, no matter how much my kids drove me crazy, or whether maybe the sink decided to leak, or maybe it was that a mess happened, or I got a call that I wasn't expecting that kind of derailed my plans, or something didn't work out, I can go to bed every night and be like, today was a very awesome day. Even with all the hard parts, even if I cried my eyes out, I have reverence for that too. Sometimes the emotions just come through me. Sometimes I get a song in my head that plays in a loop over and over. Like right now, Sum 41's With You is playing, and it's like a song that like it's just been playing for 2 days now in my head over and over again. And that that song also has some connection because it was from Gossip Girl that I first heard it. And like there's a scene where Blair had realized that she didn't really want to be with Nate. Like she'd she'd been trying to make it work, but she realized it wasn't it. And the whole time there'd been this unspoken attraction with her best friend, Chuck Bass, like one of her best friends. And I mean, she used to be like, well, you're such a player and everything. And she was prim and proper. But in that episode, it was in season 1. And she's like, I got moves. And he's like, oh yeah, I doubt it. And it's like, I mean, my prim and proper best friend. I mean, not even my male best friend Nate has been able to do anything with Blair. I mean, she's thrown herself at him, but he's not even taking advantage of it. I would, but I mean, she's my friend. And then he saw her get up there at Victrola because the episode is called Victor and Victrola. And suddenly he had a new reverence for her and it scared him. But Blair had that same reverence with Chuck. I mean, their whole relationship is kind of tumultuous. And I mean, they weren't healed. They were very wounded when they came together, but there was always that appreciation and reverence for each other's talents. For scheming, I mean, Blair's a Scorpio and Chuck is apparently a Capricorn, but it's like he's still got that Scorpio energy somewhere in his chart, guaranteed. I love that. I'm I'm not all light and I'm not all dark, and I have reverence for the dark, just like I have reverence for the light. It's probably why Damon Salvatore and Chuck Bass are two of my favorite characters, and also Jess from Gilmore Girls. I like him too. And I mean, right now, Michaela and I have been watching that, and she's like, "You want her with Jess, don't you, mommy?" I'm like, "Yes, I do." Because Jess, even with the roughness around the edges, he he liked books. I mean, Logan did too, but Logan was kind of, I don't know. There's just something I don't like about Logan. But yeah. So, I mean, I even have reverence for my pairings. And I think that's why my fan fiction was so good. Because where a lot of people would focus on the external thing of I just want Damon and Elena to get together, and it's not happening as fast as I want it to. So I'm just going to focus on the romance scene. I had reverence for the deep psychological, like their psyche, especially for Damon, the most misunderstood. Like I had such reverence for his turmoil, for his demons, for his shadows. When I wrote Damon as the like in the characterization, people are like, you really understand Damon. And there was even a friend of mine who said, I could always tell when you were having a really bad day or when something was going on in your personal life because Damon's character would reflect that. But it was still Damon. But there was a lot more angst. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, I deeply understood. And I've always kind of had that connection, that reverence for a TV character, someone who speaks to me, or a book character. You get deep into the psyche of someone. You can't help but understand them. And if you can't have reverence for them, they're not for you. So, I mean, even my friends, there's things that they'll say that I can pick up on several different layers of what's going on. And I might not always bring it up because it's not my place to dig that up until they're ready to share it with me. Just like I know that my true love has his own timing, his own way of handling things. I trust him completely to know when it's time. And in the meantime, I'm just having a really great day. This is an awesome day already, and it's only 11:30. I don't know what else could come to pass by the end of the day, but it's Friday and I get the weekend with my kids this weekend. So I don't know what I want to do yet with them. It seems to be raining all weekend, so we probably won't be able to go down to the beach. But just being in the moment is enough. Whatever unfolds, it's going to be magical because I have reverence for my life and everything that I've gone through. And I have reverence for my dreams. And I have reverence for what's happening now, right now in front of me. I mean, you can probably already see it. I have reverence for the fact that I get to just get on my soapbox whenever I want. I just set up my camera, I just set up my lighting, I get on and I talk. And I have no attachment to outcome. You can watch this or not. You can go and share this on my YouTube channel or not, but it's there. And I had fun making it. So, how can you bring more love and light and reverence into your life? How can you appreciate what's so right now and go towards your dreams? Recognizing that if it's truly for you, you're going to feel it. Ah, well, that's all I have for you right now. I'm going to go and enjoy whatever comes. Maybe I'll listen to some music. I mean, that song is still playing in my head. It has not left, even as I've been speaking into the camera. It has still been kind of playing in the background. Such a beautiful song. And I love just lying down on my bed, closing my eyes, listening to the music, putting the playlist on shuffle, and just feeling into that vibration. If you haven't done that before, try it. You'll be surprised at how peaceful it can be to just lie there and listen to the vibrations of the music. I mean, you can have lyrics or not. Sometimes I don't even do music with lyrics. Bridgerton has taken so many popular songs and they've used they've turned it classical. They have the orchestra, they have violin and piano, and it's just like, oh, it's just beautiful. If you have not listened to the soundtrack from Bridgerton, go find it on YouTube. That is what I listen to when I need a break from lyrics and I'm studying something or I'm working and I need to have some background music. That's what I put on. That or the ocean. But yeah, there's something about music. And if a song is playing in your head, sometimes that's a message. So be aware of that sometimes that's a message. Okay. I love you and I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.